If you don't have any sort of app that automatically logs all of your drives and then you mark them as business or personal, another way that you can do it, and again, I only recommend this if your business is low volume, high price. So if you're the type of person that doesn't drive every single day multiple trips, if that's you, then this method will be very, very time consuming and annoying. But if you're like me and you only shoot maybe like 40 weddings per year and then a couple meetings and consultations and errands here and there, then this method is actually not that hard, and I actually find that it's easier for me to do it this way. I actually only do it once a year. It might be less frustrating if you split it out multiple times throughout the year. But for me, it literally only takes me one day to sit down and go through my entire calendar for the entire year and pick out any business drives and log them. So this is how I would do it. I am pretty OCD, and every single thing I do goes into my Google Calendar, so that's also one of the only reasons why this works. If you don't log all of your drives and activities and events in your calendar, then you won't have anything to go off of. So this only really works if you log everything in your calendar. So for instance, all of my second shooting jobs are in yellow, all of my own lead shooting jobs are in purple. So I would just click on the job, and then like I said, I'm very detailed. I put all the info and timeline and addresses into the description on Google Calendar. So when there's only one location throughout the day, it's actually really easy. You would click on the link that you input as the address in your Google Calendar entry. Click on directions, and then you always want to start and end with your home, because you want to calculate the round trip miles, and then it'll tell you right here what the round trip miles would be. So then you would just, in your bookkeeping program, if they do have a mileage section, you would write the date of the drive, the round trip miles, and then give it a description. Boom. And just like that, it's been logged and you're good to go. So it's actually not that time consuming. So how long did that take me? Maybe 10 seconds. So if you multiply that by 40 weddings and then another like 20 other errands and meetings and stuff like that, that's only 60 times 10 seconds. So it really doesn't take that long. Now it does get a little bit more complicated if there was more than one location throughout the day. So for instance, a prep location, a church, and then a venue. So let me find one of those as an example. So this is actually a quinceañera, but there was a bunch of locations throughout the day. Now, the unfortunate thing with Google Calendar is that it only lets you input one as an actual location. So when there's more than one location, I usually just put in the description. So only one of them is clickable, but that's fine. So you would start out the same way by inputting one of the addresses and then home as both start and end. And then I would have to scroll through to see what other locations we went to that day. So we started at her home. So I would type in that location. Make sure you drag it to the right chronological spot. Then we went to Verona Park for portraits. And then we went to the venue, and then I went home. So let me just confirm that there were no other addresses. Perfect. All right, so then that round trip for that whole day with all of the other little locations is 140 total. Remember to write the right date. And then I'm going to give it a description. Perfect. So that's it. Again, a little bit more complicated if there's more than one location, but regardless, not that hard. For me, it's just much simpler to do it this way. It's a little more time consuming, but I kind of like it because it kind of reminds me of everywhere I shot throughout that year. And I just find it a lot less irritating than using an app and having to go through and log every single personal drive. So for me, I really don't drive that often. And if I do, it's definitely low volume. I drive mostly just little trips for personal errands, and it would just drive me insane to have all of those logged drives popping up on my phone constantly and having to swipe personal all the time. Like I said, because I only have a few business drives per year, I just find it simpler this way, and that's just what works for me. Another reason why I don't mind putting in the time and effort to do this is because while I'm at it, I also have this spreadsheet that I call my LTD client spreadsheet, where I log every single piece of information and statistic about every single wedding that I shoot, including all of the locations that I shot at throughout that wedding day. So while I'm at it, I would just literally copy and paste all the descriptions that I wrote in my bookkeeping log into my spreadsheet so that I have that information for myself also. And while I'm at it, I also like to put all the locations I shoot at into Google My Maps so that I can see at a glance all of the locations that I've shot at throughout any given year. And that's actually a really helpful piece of information. For instance, I recently moved up to Peekskill, New York from Jersey City, New Jersey. And I was able to visualize like, ooh, is this going to be a pain in the butt? Like, are too many of my jobs down in South Jersey? And I was able to visualize by looking at each year one at a time that all of my bookings and the areas that I worked have actually gradually been moving north, because I started my business in Ocean Township, then Montclair, then Jersey City, then Peekskill. So I was able to visualize and have concrete data to show that, yes, my bookings are actually gradually moving more and more north. So it would be logical and make sense for me to be able to move up to Peekskill and not drive myself crazy driving all over the place. So I am a statistics and data loving numbers person. I love having all kinds of statistics and data about my business. And one of those is all the locations where I shoot and where I work. So that's why I don't mind going the extra mile, no pun intended, and putting in the extra effort to do it this way. Right now, like I said, it doesn't take me that long to do this. It takes me like a full day max every year. But I do think that maybe eventually I will outsource this to an intern or an office assistant or VA or someone just to save myself that one day of work. But like I said, right now I really enjoy it. It's kind of like a walk down memory lane. I get to see everywhere I shot that year so I can make more educated business decisions. For instance, do I want to include travel in my packages? Do I want to charge a fee? And if so, what should that mileage range be? So on and so forth. Basically, just digging into this, spending a day looking into this information, I feel like makes me a better CEO, makes me more educated about this area of my business, and I don't mind doing it. Hopefully you found this video helpful, maybe learned some tips or just some insight into how I do these things. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, please click the subscribe button.